Gosh, let me tell you something. There really is nothing quite like that first cup of coffee in the morning. But we're not here to talk about my coffee this morning, although I would love to riff on coffee one of these episodes one day. I don't have an agenda for today. I'm hoping that this can be a little bit quicker than some of my riffings in the past, but I do just want to talk a little bit about my day yesterday. I went into New York City. It was my first political protest that I have ever attended, and it was for the overturning of Roe versus Wade, which I talked about in last week's video. And I teased at the end of that video that I thought I might want to attend a protest, and that it was something that was being driven just, I don't know, this like deep, I don't want to call it instinctual, but just like this really deep longing inside of me that it felt like was coming directly from my inner child to go. And more as an opportunity to practice utilizing my voice to stand in what I believe is right for me and my opinion. Again, I'm not getting into what that is here, but to just stand in my 2 feet, stand in my power, and learn how to use my voice, and to show up in unity and put myself out there, be vulnerable, get on that stage. And this is not to highlight or spotlight what I did as if I'm a hero for it. I'm just really trying to honor the fact that I did something that was brand new to me and focus on, what that means for me as an individual. Not so much that I think that, I'm a better person because I showed up and I fought for something yesterday. So, yeah, let's talk about it. It was a very peaceful protest, just a huge gathering in Union Square. Everyone had signs or something to kind of commemorate, I don't know, words to put to the situation at hand. And it felt good. When I was standing in that crowd, I just had this sense of feeling so secure and stable in my feet. I don't want to necessarily say grounded, but it quite literally felt like my inner child was standing inside my own feet. Like, I know it's hard to kind of get this across super clearly in a physical way, but imagine like a little 5-year-old kid, just if you're standing upright and they're just kind of like standing on top of your feet. That's how it felt. It felt like she was just standing in her power within me, inside of me. And that felt really, really good. It was new for me and not as uncomfortable as I thought it was going to be. When I was thinking about doing this last week, and it was a more vulnerable idea, and it was something that felt like it was really going to push me outside of my comfort zone, I did contemplate telling the person that I was going to attend this protest with about, how I might be feeling and why that might potentially be really uncomfortable for me come the day of. But it turns out that we went with a group of people, and there was a man with us, which, I don't know, male energy kind of helps influence things in a different way for me personally. And I felt really safe, and I didn't feel like I needed to footnote anything or disclose anything. And I just felt really safe and happy to be there, and happy to be standing up for myself and standing up for a right that I believe that everybody should have. And again, these are not rocket science concepts, but they are really big milestones for me. They're big milestones in a life where I've just spent my whole time closeted in some way, no pun intended, closeted and hiding because I didn't feel like it was safe to be seen. And so every time I have these opportunities where I'm putting in these reps to be seen, whether it's showing up to a protest and letting people with cameras take my photograph, where I don't know where that's going to end up, or it's making videos like these, or it's having uncomfortable conversations, every opportunity that I have now that I'm acting on, that I'm taking explicit action on to be seen, to be vulnerable, and to walk into that arena and let the spotlight shine on me, I'm so proud of. And I'm working really hard on staying grounded and calm and present in these moments and not letting myself get worked up or, lose myself, and just really focusing on generating a sense of control and a sense of power and a sense of peace and I belong here, which are words that I've never been able to say or believe or feel. And so it's all just kind of coming full circle. It's all just a representation of where I am on my healing journey with my mental health, with the fact that my throat chakra is opening up, with the fact that I do feel like I can express myself and it's safe to express myself. And it just feels like things are aligning in a really big way. And I'm immensely proud of myself for that. And I'm happy that I can share that. We were at the protest for a couple of hours, and once all of the speakers had shared their thoughts and what they wanted to present, they moved on to the march. One of my friends has terrible headaches, so we couldn't go on the march, so I just was walking with her, and we ended up going into this photography exhibit that she had known about, that she had wanted to check out in Lower Manhattan, and I think it was another just wonderful opportunity. Again, a highlight of where I am in my healing journey and how I've grown. When I was a kid, I just remember never liking going to museums or art expos or anything like that, really because I felt so out of control. They felt like super claustrophobic to me. When you go to these exhibits, they're usually kind of set up like a maze because they want you to flow through the space in a certain way. And being a little kid where everyone's 3 times your height, I never really felt comfortable or safe in those kinds of environments. And it would always just give me like a lot of anxiety. I'd be super anxious as a kid when my family would want to go to these museums and they're just staring at a painting. And to me, that feels like staring at something for 5 hours, but it's really been 5 minutes. Art in the traditional sense is nothing that I've ever been really able to appreciate. But I do feel, again, like I'm at this state in my healing journey where I can sit with myself and it's safe to be still and to be fully in the present moment and to allow myself to receive words, to receive feelings, to let emotions flow. So I'm able to stare at these paintings or these photographs and really be able to take them in and not feel anxious, not be concentrating on the room or who's around me. They're all just things that I've never been able to really access, that I'm able to access now. And so it was just a really beautiful opportunity. It was totally spontaneous. We didn't have plans to do that when we had first come into the city. It just kind of happened that way. It was very serendipitous, and I'm so grateful that we were able to do that. The exhibits were varied. I think the first floor that we saw was all was studio portraits, and then the next floor down was all, I don't know what you call the word for it, but like journalistic photos in situations like famines or wars or 9/11, like these really extreme events, and the feelings that were elicited, and my ability to look at these photographs and pick out the feelings and pick out the contrast and just be there for the art and to be able to experience the art for what it was and what it was trying to be. So beautiful to me, and I was just so grateful that I have this ability now to be there and be where I am, whether it's with this kind of a thing or it's just showing up to a conversation that I'm having with a friend, or it's showing up to writing at a coffee shop. Like, my ability to be within myself and to channel outward is so magnified in a way that it's never been, and I'm just so happy that I'm here. And some of those thoughts that I had that I think were really cool were just, what makes art art? What makes good art good versus bad art bad? Is there such a thing as bad art? How do we define what makes art artistic, right? Like, you've got sort of principles that you can apply to, let's say in the case of yesterday's exhibit, photographs, right? Like, is it properly exposed? What's the depth of field like? What's the contrast like? What's the story being told? How much feeling is elicited by that? But, like at the end of the day, all of this is subjective, right? The beauty of art is that it's made, I think the meaning is made in the person's interpretation of it on the receiving end, not necessarily just the creator's ability to put something together that, maybe mechanistically might be right or might check all of those boxes. And I just was able to ask myself all of these beautiful, overflowing, open-ended questions that don't have an answer really. And just asking myself, like, what makes some of my poems really good poems? Why do I like some of them way more than others? What's the intentionality behind good art versus bad art? And it was just an awesome experience. I don't have answers to any of those questions. I don't know if they come with answers in general. I don't know if you can answer them, but it got me thinking, man. And that kind of ties into the last thing that I want to touch on today, which is the fact that I think none of this is really possible for me, or would be possible for me, if I wasn't able to just be fully accessing the present moment like I am right now in this state of life that I'm in, where I'm calm and my nervous system is finally, for the first time in my life, truly, truly, truly just relaxed and off and disengaged unless it needs to be engaged. And then I kick right back into those trauma responses, which is good for the instances that they need to be kicked on for. The ability to just be here, wherever that is, and be fully present to whatever is going on in this moment, whether it's a conversation, whether it's somebody sharing their feelings with me in a deep and vulnerable way, and my ability to show them, look, I see you and I'm here for you, or it's the ability to show up to a canvas hanging on a wall and be there for it, and to be able to pick apart the little bits of grain and wonder why the photographer chose to keep certain elements in the whatever you call like the frame versus taking them out, and why the dress on that girl was the color blue versus the color green, and all of these questions, this curiosity that's being driven in everything that I'm doing now, I think really is only fundamentally accessible to me because I'm in the present moment. I'm not showing up to these experiences or these events or these people or these situations, whatever they are, with a heavy baggage of the past with me or a heavy baggage of the future with me. I'm just there. I'm calm. I'm safe. And it's safe to be where I am and to fully experience that moment and be exposed to that moment. And I think a challenge that I've had specifically when it comes to catching up with my friends now, and they're like, how are you? I kind of stumble now because I'm living in the present so much of my life on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis that I'm not really taking as much time to reflect and pause. I don't think I need to because I feel good most of the time. It's not that I don't feel good, and so not reflecting on that is kind of creating blind spots in my ability to enjoy my life. People will be like, yeah, so how are you? And I don't have this collection of stories and heavy, whether it's good or bad, that like the weight gets heavy if you're just kind of carrying all this other stuff with you, as opposed to where you are now and what's on your body and what's on your mind right now. It's been kind of really funny for me. I'm just like, yeah, I'm great. Life's good. And it makes me feel kind of weird. It makes me feel almost like I start to question myself or doubt myself a little bit. Like, am I not pushing myself hard enough? If I don't have problems on my mind, if I'm not, pushing myself to write or whatever, does that mean that I'm not trying hard enough? Times are quiet. I'm just fully here for them. Should I be doing more? These are questions that I ask with kindness and non-judgment, but I do ask, and I think the answer for me really is no. Like, I'm just happy to be here, and I'm happy to be in the present moment, and to be able to observe things that in the past I was just missing because it didn't feel safe to be here. And things like today, these are big milestone moments for me that might seem really stupid, but getting out of the shower and not putting on a podcast, not drowning out the noise, even though I'm learning something on a podcast, but just, hearing the birds chirp outside and knowing, okay, I'm going to film a better video right now if I can just keep the thoughts that are in my head right here and be quiet enough in my external environment so that I don't lose touch of the points that I want to hit on in this video. And I did that all through, getting out of the shower and getting ready and making my coffee and then sitting down here and being able to just orate in these full sentences. And it's hard work sometimes, for sure, but nothing makes me feel more present and locked into the present moment than filming a video like this. And so, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is I had 3 topics today that all had to do with things that I experienced yesterday that on paper could seem totally disjointed, but they all root back to this just ability to be somebody right now who is pushing forward on that mental health journey and expanding from wounded places in my heart and my soul and just learning how to live an expanded and expansive life. And my quality of life has improved significantly as it's felt safer to slow down, and my nervous system has realized it can disengage and I can be here and it's safe to be here. And I'm just grateful. I'm privileged to be where I am, but I have worked hard to be where I am, and I just want to continue on the path that I have set out for myself and let the universe bring what the universe will bring. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up the video here. Thank you so much for watching or listening or whatever you're doing. I truly appreciate you, and I will see you next week. Bye.